Senator Tillis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Yates, one thing you may want to do is pull up a little bit closer to the mic if you can. We're hearing you, but I think we're straining to hear. In response to some of Chair Graham's questions and Senator Cornyn's questions, you characterized Comey. I think you said that when Senator Graham used the word rogue, you said that's a word you could use. And Senator Cornyn's discussion with you, you said that there was certainly a violation of some of the rules of the norms, and some of the behavior of those involved in the investigation was not ideal. Now, what about Mr. Orr? Could we use similar words to describe Mr. Orr's behavior over the course of this investigation?
Well, and let me clarify one thing here, because I think it's important that we be accurate. I said that Director Comey's decision to go interview General Flynn without coordinating that interview with us could be characterized as rogue. I was not characterizing Director Comey generally as rogue. So I think it's important to be accurate and fair there. Now, with respect to...
Go ahead, Ms. Yates. On Mr. Orr. On Mr. Orr, just in terms of his behavior, I know back in November of 2016, he was apparently aware that Steele was desperate to prevent President Trump from being elected. Was that information shared with you in the intervening days or weeks?
I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you. No, none of that information was shared with me. No. And I don't think that Bruce Orr should have been having those conversations without telling us at the Justice Department about it.
Yeah. You've been in, you were in the Department of Justice for 27 years, and thank you for your service. If you take a look at, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a prosecutor, but I have read Horowitz's report. Does any of that just make you angry with the lack of what I consider to be professionalism? These folks that were involved in this investigation are highly trained and educated. Is it fair to say that there weren't any rookies put in a position to provide you with evidence or provide you with information to make a decision?
Well, I would certainly agree with you that the errors and omissions here were totally unacceptable.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, Ms. And honestly, I think a lot of people are interrupting you. It has to do with delay and the fact that we're virtual, so I apologize for that. But, you know, it just seems to me the cynic in me makes it hard to believe when they knew what they knew about the credibility of the Steele dossier, that they wouldn't think that that's important to bring up the chain of command when you're making critical decisions. Is that something that you feel like anybody in that whole process, anyone, whether they were working for you or around you leading up to information that you were acting on, it seems to me that some of these people should have been disciplined or fired. Do you agree with that?
Well, look, I don't know what is going on within the FBI and their internal discipline process, so I can't speak to that. But I can say that I believe that this information should have been provided to the lawyers in the National Security Division who were working with them on the FISA applications. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
But just getting inside, I'm sorry, go ahead, Ms. Yates.
But I also trust Inspector General Horowitz's conclusion that he did not find any evidence that any of these agents were acting with bias or any kind of political motive. You know, when I looked and read the Horowitz report to try to figure out, even though I was no longer in office anymore, what went wrong, what you seem to have are agents who superimposed and used their own judgment for what was material or what was exculpatory, and decided then what they would provide to the lawyers in the National Security Division. And that's not how it should work. They should be giving all of that information to the lawyers in NSD so that those lawyers can make that determination.
Ms. Yates, could you at least understand if you combine some of their actions, their errors and omissions, and some of the personal communications between some of those involved, why a skeptic would maybe find it hard to believe to take a generous view of it just being an honest mistake?
Well, Senator, the Inspector General reviewed over 1 million documents. I believe he did over 170 interviews. So I think he's in a better position than I am to be able to answer that question. And he found, again, that there was no evidence of bias or a political motive.
Ms. Yates, do you believe the DOJ has ever really been in a, or do you believe the DOJ can actually charge someone under the Logan Act?
Can it? Frankly, Senator, I've never engaged in that analysis because we were not at a point of making a final determination as to whether General Flynn would be charged under the Logan Act. But as I was trying to make clear to Senator Graham, that was not the prism through which we were examining this.
Did you
We
ever
were examining this
seriously,
charge.
did you ever seriously consider prosecuting Flynn under the Logan Act?
We didn't make an official decision when I was there, but I believed it was very unlikely that we would prosecute him under the Logan Act. Again, it was a counterintelligence threat, not a criminal prosecution of the Logan Act that was the focus.
Thank you, Ms. Yates.